Hi, and welcome to the very first video from Tan Dog Studio. My name is Paul, and today I'm making a rotating ring box out of zebrawood. Ooh, fancy. Here I'm shimming and gluing a warped board to a flat piece of plywood so I can pass it through the planer. This will flatten it and plane it down to 3/8 of an inch. The glue gun was giving me all sorts of problems, and I swear I was one more malfunction away from just chucking it and using that as an excuse to buy a new one. So, while the thickness planing sequence is playing in the background, let's take a moment to thank this week's video sponsor, My Full-Time Job. All the tools and supplies used in this video are courtesy of My Full-Time Job, and if you visit myfulltimejob.com and use the offer code TANDOG, all one word, nothing will happen. So, I'm using a dull, crappy chisel to wedge off the hot glue here, but anyway, it's my first time ever using this technique, so I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, that's satisfying. It's a lot like pulling a fatty booger out that comes from like 30 feet down in the recesses of your brain. Nice. Petting the wood, that's important. Okay, so right here I am ripping down a little bit of material off of the rougher of two edges on this board. What I'm doing is I'm making the two edges parallel and just trying to remove as little material as I can. Anyway, after the first pass, it looked like it had been chewed on by, I don't know, a pack of baboons. So I went ahead and went for a second pass anyway. Now I'm ripping the workpiece down to 2 3/4 inch width. I've recently adjusted my fence, so I use this little steel ruler to confirm width before making the cut. Yep, the adjustment was good. Everything was fine. Oh, and if you don't have a gripper, this thing kicks ace. Keeps my fingies safe around the spinny cutty parts. Hey, look at that. It's my crosscut sled. I'm getting the stop block position here for a 4-inch cut. I don't know why, but I didn't include the shot of me squaring the stock. Just take my word for it. I have enough material for 3 pieces, even though I only need 2 for this project. I consider it inevitable that I'll screw something up, so may as well get ahead of it now. This is a 1/2-inch cove bit in the router table. I'm setting up the stop blocks on a pine blank because zebrawood is $25 a board foot, that's why. Now I'm choosing which are the best 2 pieces, and yeah, you gotta go, buddy. I like this little chevron pattern when the workpieces are oriented the way they are. I've learned to mark my workpieces in a way that makes it obvious to future me which side is which. So I mark the outside, mark the outside, mark the outside. Now I'm cutting the hinge mortises. I'm using a 1/4 inch straight bit at a depth of about 1/32 of an inch. I'm not cool enough to own spiral bits, and it wasn't necessary for this cut anyway. Actually, I'm not sure why I even brought that up. Doing a test fit, and it's not quite right. There, that's better. Here's my template for routing out the recesses. I marked the hinge and handle size because I didn't want to screw anything up, except I did screw something up because template bushings are about 3/4 inch deep, and my template is made out of 1/2-inch plywood. I bottomed out on my first go, and that's why I'm using some 1/4 inch ply as a spacer. Don't be like me, kids. Know your equipment. I've learned that clearing sawdust out of the recesses between shallow passes is super important. Oh, why, you ask? Well, it boogers up the template and keeps the heat from dissipating. So heat is the enemy of sharpness, and this is also why I had to buy a new 1/2-inch straight bit. Yeah, this Makita dust collection shroud is kind of a piece of crap and needs some improvements. Oops, there goes the clamp. Now I'm cutting the second recess. You see the first one off to the side there. I didn't cut it in one pass, I promise. The router bit makes all sorts of weird noises if you push it too hard, so yeah. Now it's time for everyone's favorite part, sanding. I dated a girl named Sandy once. She was pretty boring. About as boring as this sequence. Yeah, let's end it here. Now I'm marking out the location of the holes for the rare earth magnets that I used as a closure for this ring box. Whoops, can't see that one so well, so let's do it again. This is about 5 millimeters from both edges. Just easier for me to remember that number than some absurd fraction. I bought some brad point bits from Harbor Freight. I know. And the brad tips on them were way off center. Yeah, that's why I'm using a twist bit for this cut and have to do the old kissy technique to see if I'm lined up with my markings. I set the depth stop appropriately for what I was doing, and Bob's your uncle. Putting a good glop of CA glue to hold the magnets in place here. Be mindful of magnet polarity or else you won't have a closure. It'll be more like an opener. I used a plastic hammer to set the magnet in its recess. Plastic, guys. The nails that came with the hinges are a bit long for my 3/8 inch thick material, so I'm grinding them down to length. I did this 4 times. Now I'm pre-drilling holes because I don't want to go all this way just to split the wood and have to start all over again. And for those who don't know, the blue tape is a depth gauge, so I won't drill all the way through the workpiece. Okay, Happy, just tap it in. Tap it in. That's your home. Why don't you want to go home? I set nails in place using a drive pin punch, nothing special. Here we go. I'm using some adhesive-backed velvet jewelry box liner in this shot. I had originally used some felt, but that turned out to be too thick and not the good kind of thick either with 2 C's. Now I'm scribing to account for the fingy grooves. This little pocket folder is part of a gift set. It's not one of my carry knives, but it's ironically the sharpest knife I have because it's the one I use the least. My cheap set of X-Acto knives is just awful, so I'm not using it for this. You know, an old guy once told me only rich men buy cheap tools. I don't know, I guess I'm rich. Okay, if you're wondering what's happening here, I'm cutting an X into the loose part of the velvet material. And I'm going to push this down into the recess. I don't have to be particularly neat here because it's all going to be hidden underneath some cardstock by the time we're done. This here is some 110-pound cardstock going onto a cutting mat and into the Silhouette Cameo 4. I previously made this drawing on Silhouette Studio, so I'll spare you all from having to watch that process, which took hours to dial in. This sequence was originally a lot longer, but then I realized that it's kind of boring, so I cut it short. Yeah, and here's the satisfying part, pulling away the waste. I made some perforated lines in my drawing to help make the folding a lot easier. It's so much better than scoring and folding, and I figure I'll tell the machines what to do now while I can, because in 20 years' time, the machines will tell me what to do, and I, for one, welcome our future robotic overlords. Okay, this part is a decorative shroud. Just stay with me. It might not make much sense right now. Just hang in there, guys. Okay, this is the actual twisty, spinny mechanism. That's a highly technical term. I learned this lesson the hard way. Put a little bit of CA glue on a throwaway piece of paper and use a toothpick to apply it to your workpiece, or else it gets everywhere. On the wrong parts of your workpiece, on your fingers, on the cutting mat. Anyway, the dog will be fine, I promise. Okay, and here's our finished product. A little bit of B-roll. Just kidding, no B-roll here. I'm not that cool. Okay, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, smash that like and subscribe button, guys. I don't know why I said that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.